We're just waiting for people to come on. So I was just looking up actually the latest news about President Trump. Hi, Laura. How you doing? So President Trump is live right now, and he is about to sign executive order. I think orders with an S. But before we go to that live right now, and we'll hit it from the beginning, of course, like we normally do. I did want to read you the latest headlines. The news is crazy right now. Oh, thank you, Spirit. Spirit's our new managing moderator, by the way. So thank you for taking that task on for me. Hi, Holly. Oh, thank you. Thank you for watching. I know, I look horrible. I'm so fat. I come up north and I get fat. What is that? Don't worry, when I get back down to Florida, no more food for this girl. But thank you so much. I know it didn't all get taped, but it's there. So I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that, Holly. You're the best. Okay, so listen, NPR 3 hours ago says, Trump is accusing the UN of sabotage. The UN says Trump's team is to blame. So it's kind of funny that NPR, propaganda wing of the government, National Public Radio, they're not on America's side anymore. Isn't that interesting? How dare they? Oh, you got your notification. That's good. Okay, AP News. Trump snubs Biden with auto pen photo on new presidential walk of fame. Okay, that's something I have to look up. Oh my gosh, this should be good. What do I think about the Democrats? What do you think? Bunch of clowns. I'm MAGA, so of course I don't appreciate the Democrats these days. They don't really seem like they're on the side of America. I know it's backwards, I know. It is what it is, but you guys can read backwards, right? You're okay. You can handle it. I got faith in you. According to the AP, President Trump has added a presidential walk of fame to the exterior of the White House, featuring portraits of each of the previous commanders-in-chief, except for one. Instead of a headshot of Joe Biden, the Republican incumbent instead hung a photo of an auto pen signing the Democrat's name, a reference to Trump's frequent allegation, that the former president was addled by the end of his term in office and not really the one making decisions. Oh, that paragraph right there. Really? Blaming it on Trump, huh? That Biden, it wasn't Trump's frequent allegations. We all saw it, okay? Every single one of us. And in the end, he didn't run for president, did he? You gonna blame Trump for that too? Oh boy. You guys are really funny. You Democrats, you're hilarious. You'll say anything, won't you? All right, well, we've got a bunch of people on now. So I'm going to turn the camera around and we are going to see what executive orders are being signed by President Trump today, right now, live on the Beach Report.
Not only is the UN not solving the problems it should, too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States. Think of that. The UN is supporting people that are illegally coming into the United States, and then we have to get them out. The UN also provided food, shelter, transportation, and debit cards to illegal aliens. Can you believe that? On the way to infiltrate our southern border. Millions of people came through that southern border. Just a year ago, millions and millions of people were pouring in, 25 million altogether over the 4 years of the incompetent Biden administration. And now we have it stopped, totally stopped. In fact, they're not even coming anymore because they know they can't get through. But what took place is totally unacceptable. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them.
President Trump then went on to confront Russian oil trade embargoes and why China...
So, I thought he was live now. Come on, really? Okay, little snafu there. Sometimes, lately it's very difficult when all the channels say that they're live. They're never live, including my channel, but I tell you if I really am live or not. So, I'm live, but if President Trump is actually signing something. Okay, well, let's go over to the UN General Assembly, because that is very interesting. Okay, we're gonna check that out instead right now. It says it's live and I don't see
that repentance, something
really,
that Charlie often reminded.
I guess President Trump is not on yet like I thought he was. So I see lots of people in the comments, they've got their Trump derangement syndrome on full display for all of us to see. And I know my hat is triggering them, and I'm really sorry for you if you see my hat and you see the words MAGA and you just lose your mind. Sorry about that. No, not sorry, not sorry. But I do feel sorry for you because did you think Kamala was going to be a better president? Like, really? Hi, Susan. Hello, Patriots. You guys are awesome. Welcome to the Beach Report. Please like and subscribe and try to drown out the crazy people. We've got some moderators hard at work on the Beach Report, so you don't have to constantly be subjected to the nastiness that is the left. They say some things that I just can't even believe, like keyboard warriors going full on. I don't know if y'all are paid or you're just bots or whatever you're doing, but some of your comments are so disgusting and reprehensible that I don't even know how you sleep at night. Anyway, when we see comments like that, we do get rid of them because nobody needs to be subjected to your hatred, your craziness, your weird thoughts, okay? It's all good. It's all good. And you think I'm on my high horse, do you? Well, I don't have to put up with your nastiness. So, then giddy up. Here we go. Lots of fun here on the Beach Report. So while I wait for the president to actually...
like ivermectin and how it's only a couple of dollars a tablet.
Can't talk about that. Can't talk about that. Hi, Debbie. Good to see you. I'm not wearing my cross today. I'm wearing this because when I wear any jewelry that's like kind of the same color, you can't see it with this top on. So that's why I'm wearing this for now. Thank you, Holly. I'm the problem. And yet here you are, and I welcome you. I hope that we can have discussions because I am Charlie Kirk now, and we all need to talk to each other, but we need to talk to each other respectfully. Can you do that? Would that be okay? I'm an old lady, and I think that respect is something that is in great great demand these days. Okay, I'm trying to look past you into my computer to see when I can find President Trump. And mute this. I know I'm old, so technology eludes me sometimes. Oh yeah, yeah, I'm the crazy one. I'm the crazy one. Y'all spewing your hate and then you blame me. That's what you do though, you know. That's why you hate President Trump too. You don't like to hear the truth. That's all right. You'll figure it out. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera back around where we are going to watch. Oh, actually, hey, what is this? The Autism Roundtable. What do you think about that Tylenol story, huh? And then all the people who hate Trump the most are like running out to get Tylenol and to take it and to prove something. I don't know. I never heard of such a thing. I gave birth to two healthy humans, and I didn't take any kind of drugs when I was pregnant. Just saying. I don't think anybody should take drugs when they're pregnant. Any kind. If you have pain, you deal with it. If you have a fever, get yourself in a cold bath. Deal with it naturally. Just saying. I left this country because of all the drugs and the fake food, and I moved to Switzerland, and that's where my babies were born. It's a different world over there in Europe. And I see a lot of Europeans here, so welcome to the Beach Report. Speaking of the beach, I'm in Pittsburgh this week where the weather is horrible. It is gray and nasty outside and keeps spitting rain, and it's like every fall Pittsburgh just descends into this grayness and the leaves start falling and it makes a mess. I mean, it looks pretty for a little bit and then it's just disgusting. So I will be leaving leaving Pennsylvania on Saturday for Florida, and I can't wait. So if you guys like the beach and you've been watching me for the past week and you're new and you're like, where's the beach? Where's the beach? I don't blame you. I want to know where the beach is too. I want to go to the beach. So I will be taking you all to the beach starting, I guess on Saturday I will arrive on Myrtle Beach, but it might be late at night. I don't know. I'm going to drive starting early in the morning. I might be able to make it there for a sunset show. We'll see. But as soon as I can get to the beach, I will be at the beach. And once I start at the beach, you know, every day will be a beach day. I'm actually planning to drive all the way down the coast into the Keys because I want to be in Key West, Florida. Thank you for the gift. I want to be in Key West, Florida on September 30th, which will be the 3rd anniversary of my husband's death. So I hope you guys will join me at the beach all the way down to as south as you can possibly get in the United States. That's right, we're going to hit the southernmost point. I did actually, Holly, hear about the pregnant lib girl who was at 20 weeks and took a huge amount of Tylenol, is in the ICU and is not expected to live, and that is heartbreaking. Why would you do such a thing? I mean, here's what I think. Maybe President Trump should tell everybody not to go out and pick dog poop up off the street and eat it. If he tells everyone not to do that, I'm pretty sure some people are going to do it. So, oh yeah, it's pretty funny, right? But that's not funny. That story is terrible. But it's self-induced. I don't understand how you could hate somebody so much that it would cause you to do something so dangerous to yourself and your own child. What? What is that? What is that all about? All right, well, let's go to
It's time now to translate that.
Autism Roundtable, which I think I can find the beginning of it.
You know, we have so many of these.
I'm looking.
I don't want to believe things is that they don't.
Okay, so
Kids' health journeys.
So by the way, the level of autism since I was a child has gone up so quickly. And as a journalist, and I used to cover this area in Pittsburgh for many years, and I learned a lot about autistic kids. I actually help a family now they have an autistic daughter, and I'm helping them to make their lives a little bit easier. I have a friend who has an autistic child. I mean, everywhere you turn, these children are suffering, their families are suffering, and it's become an epidemic. So those of you who don't care about autism and don't think it's a problem or whatever, or you think it's a joke and you're gonna take a bunch of Tylenol, by the way, people do commit you know what I'm gonna say. They commit that with taking Tylenol. It's one of the drugs that they use. So if you think that it's not dangerous, you might want to rethink that. I don't take any of those pain relievers, by the way. I try to relieve pain in my own way. Frequency, vibration, sun bath, just natural analgesics like blueberries. Did you know that blueberries take away inflammation? They're a superfood. Okay, let's go over to the autism people and see what they say. Whoops. Come on.
We invite you to join us to change the future for all of our children. We have the support of the government for the first time, and I'd ask all the other administrations, trust me, and the courageous champions we found in Bobby, Jay, Marty, Casey, the entire HHS team, and of course, President Trump. I asked to be the president that finally solves autism. He listened and he acted. Miracles do happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'd like to invite up Gabrielle Traub. She's a board-certified classical homeopath and international best-selling author.
My name is Gabrielle Traub. I'm a homeopath, and I'm also a mother of a child with autism. I am deeply grateful to the courageous leadership of Secretary Kennedy and the mothers who came before me, whose voices made it possible for me to stand before you today. I believe HHS as a first-line treatment for autism and many other health conditions. I say this both as a mother and as a practitioner who's witnessed a rapidly growing number of children with autism improve under homeopathic care. Let me share two stories that illustrate what's possible with homeopathy. When I first met this young lady, let's call her Sarah, she was 12 years old with profound autism. Her family had tried everything. She was nonverbal and extremely violent if things didn't go her way. It wasn't safe for her family to care for her at home, so she was placed in multiple institutions, but was expelled from each one. At one facility, she bit the caregivers through the skin into the bone. It took 3 security guards to restrain her. I know this is shocking, but you need to understand the profound struggle these families face. She would smear her feces and menstruation all over the walls. She couldn't do anything to care for herself. Medications failed to help her and caused dangerous weight gain. Through homeopathic care, Sarah's life has been transformed. She communicates her needs, regulates her moods, and manages her own basic self-care. She has discontinued the medications and lost weight. Most importantly, she now lives safely at home alongside her loving family. Another child, Kaleo, came to me at age 9. He was nonverbal, autistic, and suffered from severe epilepsy. His seizures sometimes lasted an hour and often required hospitalization. Since beginning homeopathy, his seizures are now extremely rare. But the changes go far beyond that. His speech has exploded. He makes eye contact, hugs his mother, plays with his sister, and even enjoys trying new foods. His mood, focus, and independence have improved dramatically. Today, Kaleo is thriving in ways his family once thought impossible. Homeopathy cannot alter the genes itself, but it can alter gene expression. There is no masking or suppressing. It helps people both neurotypical and neurodiverse become the healthiest versions of themselves that they can be. If you'd like to hear more stories about what's possible with homeopathy, I invite you to watch the documentary Introducing Homeopathy. Research supports these outcomes. Studies show that people who use homeopathy rely on far fewer medications, both for acute and chronic conditions. For children like Sarah and Kaleo, this means less dependence on antibiotics, SRI drugs, and fever-reducing medications like Tylenol. So why should the HHS consider homeopathy as a first line of defense? First, it treats the whole person. A single remedy can help support growth and development, speech, seizures, constipation, sensory issues, sleep, and emotional balance. This makes treatment cost-effective and very simple. Second, homeopathic treatment strengthens the immune system and helps regulate brain biochemistry. Because it addresses root causes, remedies can often be reduced to occasional use over time. Only minute quantities are required, eliminating the risk of drug shortages. And third, homeopathic medicines are easy to take, even for children on the spectrum. We have a very high level of compliance.
Wow. Wow, you guys are so triggered by this woman. I can't believe the comments. I can't believe how you people are literally like fighting for Tylenol. Like you love your Tylenol so much. My goodness. It's so special. This woman, since you can't hear her because of her voice and the way that she looks, and it makes you kind of crazy, so you can't really understand what she's saying, so I'm going to translate to you. This woman is talking about homeopathic treatments. So homeopathic treatments are natural treatments, and it's the use of herbs and using food as medicine, which is what I believe. Food is medicine. When I left this country in, I think it was 1990, yeah, it was 1990 when I left America for the first time and went to Switzerland. And I saw a whole new world of people eating natural, whole foods. Vegetables that came right out of the ground. Nothing came in a box or in plastic. Nope, not a lot of plastic there. And that's why I had my children in Switzerland. I did it by design. I was really afraid for them to be raised in this country, to give birth in this country. I didn't like hearing about the drive-by births and how you go into the hospital, give birth, and then a day later you're out. Well, in Switzerland, they keep you in the hospital for the whole week. It's good and it's bad, but no, it's okay. I think it's a good thing. I think new moms should get that time, that first week with their babies, that they do need to, get acclimated. It's hard to be a new mommy. Anyway, so for those of you who can't understand what this lady is saying, try to focus, because she's right. Homeopathic remedies can actually save autistic kids. And I see a lot of people in the comments here, you all know autistic children, all of you. And that is really sad. But if there's a cure and it has to do with staying away from drugs and man-made pharmaceuticals that probably came from China, you might want to rethink how you are healthy. And you might want to use your food as your medicine. All right, back to it.
And finally, homeopathy is safe, non-addictive, and virtually free of all side effects. We also have research evidence. Observational studies in India and randomized control studies in Switzerland demonstrate measurable benefits for autism and ADHD. I've printed out the references on the table over there you can look at. Nobel laureate scientists such as Dr. Luc Montagnier and Dr. Brian Josephson, both proponents of homeopathy, have called for increased funding for research. Even farmers worldwide use homeopathy, where placebo effects cannot be the explanation, especially if you're just putting the remedies into their feed. Homeopathy has a long and distinguished track record in both epidemics and serious chronic diseases. If made as a first-line therapy, it will reduce healthcare costs, lessen reliance on pharmaceuticals, and leave a legacy of health for our children. As a practitioner, I've seen these transformations homeopathy makes possible. As a mother, I know how deeply these transformations matter and how urgently they are needed. We owe it to the American people to move beyond debate and step into action. This is not just professional, it's profoundly personal. Our children cannot wait. The moment is here. It's time for homeopathy to stand where it belongs, at the heart of American healthcare. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gabrielle. I'd like to welcome Andrew Downing. Andrew is a litigation partner with Bruckner, Spittler, and Schultz. He represents victims of vaccination harm in the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program for decades, and his cases include some of the seminal cases that have shaped vaccine litigation over the years. Drew frequently speaks on the vaccine program around the country and is currently involved in shaping very much needed changes to the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. Thank you, Drew.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Drew Downing, and I am a lawyer. Lawyers Anonymous. But I'm really a nice guy. Don't hold that against me. In the mid-90s, my legal assistant at the time had an adverse reaction to the hepatitis B vaccine and wanted me to represent her. And I said, no, I don't typically sue doctors and hospitals, so I'm not going to do that. But if you want to come in and visit about it, I'll look at your case, and if it's good, maybe I can refer you to someone. So in the couple of days before she came in, I started looking at this and discovered there was something called the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program that most people and a lot of doctors don't know even exists. This audience is probably more attuned to the VICP than most, but in the 80s, it was recognized that not only did industry request and get liability shields in terms of litigation over adverse responses to their products, but the goal was to generate a vehicle so that injured victims would have easy, compassionate, fast compensation that would cover pain and suffering and cover out-of-pocket medical bills and cover loss of earnings and cover their attorney's fees in the program. So the VICP was created. It came online in the late 80s. So I learned about this with my, like I said, my legal assistant. The government fought us on the case. It was very clear cut, but they fought. And so we had to try it. So I came to DC, we litigated it, we had experts. It was enormously expensive, and we won. So about 3 months later, I got a call from the chief judge of the Court of Federal Claims saying, I talked to the judge you tried that case in front of. She said you did a good job. Would you like to be on the referral panel? And I said, whatever, because nothing ever comes of referral panels for stuff like that. So I sent him some information. About 3 months after that, I got a call from a guy in Ohio. Now, I'm from Arizona. I get a call from a guy in Ohio who wants me to represent him in the vaccine program. And I said, don't you want somebody local that you can talk to? And he said, well, I got your name off the referral panel. I said, okay, whatever. And he goes, have you seen the referral panel? I said, no. And he goes, you're the only lawyer west of the Mississippi. And so that is where it started and sprang into a massive practice. I've had my own firm for years, which should signal to anyone that these adverse events do happen. They're rare, but they do happen. Vaccination can cause any number of neurological adverse events, including regressive encephalopathy, which for years was compensated in the vaccine program. Mary Holland with CHD wrote one of the original papers on this and identified, at least at that point, and I think this was 15 years ago, 80 some cases of regressive encephalopathy that were compensated in the vaccine program before the autism omnibus proceeding started. So recognizing this as an issue is one of the things that I can assure you Secretary Kennedy is looking at. In January, the Secretary called me and asked me if I would come in and be a director within HHS. And I said no, because I had my own law firm, I had employees, I had stuff going at the time. And, he was upset. I've known Bobby for a little while. So he called back and we talked a little bit about it in greater detail. And when I got home that night, I talked to my wife and she looked me right in the eyes and she goes, if you don't do this, you will never be able to bitch about the system ever again. And so I sold my practice, transferred all my files away, and am now serving as one of Bobby's senior policy advisors on a lot of vaccine stuff, not the least of which is reforming the vaccine program. No one would say that that program isn't broken and hasn't been broken for a long time. It's a combination of factors, I think, that have led us to where we are. When the Autism Omnibus proceeding started, I was hesitant to refer any clients in. I mean, I was on some of the committees that were deciding what to do, but my fear at the time was it's going to end up being public policy and money. It's not going to have anything to do with the medicine. It's not going to have anything to do with whether these kids were actually injured by vaccination. It's going to be money. And, you had 6,000 families that had legitimate injuries and they all went in at the same time. The court created a process by which they could lump them all together and deny the claim. And that's exactly what happened. So since that time, autism is the A word that you're not allowed to utter within the vaccine program realm because you will be vilified, and as you guys know. But autism is simply a collection of symptoms. It's a collection of symptoms that place someone on a spectrum of neurological disease. It can be due to a mitochondrial issue, which Dr. Fry is probably going to talk about. It can be due to any number of things. It can be due to vaccine-induced inflammation. So originally, under the vaccine table, which sort of governs how this program operates, encephalopathy was a very broad term. In the 90s, the government sort of seized control of this issue and changed the definition, making it almost impossible for a family to prevail. Part of what Secretary Kennedy is doing right now, and with my help, and we have a team looking at it, is we have to figure out a way to capture these kids. If you only use the A word, whatever, that's fine. How do we capture them? Do we broaden the definition of encephalopathic events? Do we broaden neurological injuries? How do we do that? I was hoping that the changes to the program might have been rolled out before today so that I could talk more in depth about them. I can't. As you can imagine, it's not my place to do the rollout. However, the one thing that I want you guys to know and be assured of, and I've seen it now for the last 6 months with the secretary and the people that he has working with him at NIH, FDA, CDC. He has your back on this issue. I'm telling you right now.
Finally someone
he
does.
works from 5 in the morning until midnight. I don't even know how he does it. I want you guys to take away from this that you have a representative at Health and Human Services now that has your back. And Gabrielle, the only other thing I want to say is, having represented vaccine victims for 30 years, sometimes homeopathic medicine is the only thing that works. I've seen it and so I applaud you doing that. Thanks, you guys.
Wow. That was amazing. And now I'm seeing amazing comments. You guys are so smart. There are so many smart people in the comment section right now. I suggest that you listen to what they're saying and take their advice. Like MJU saying blue light is dangerous. Artificial light is dangerous for you. Get into the sunlight. Oh my gosh, that is one of the most important things that you could tell anybody. Did you realize that during the COVID days, the people who died, all of them were vitamin D deficient? Every one of them. Now, I live in Florida, and they call it the Sunshine State for a reason, and I take a sun bath every day that I possibly can. I feel like I am downloading not just sunshine, but health, and I usually take that time to pray. And it's just a really great part of my day. I understand that not everybody can get the abundant sunshine that we can down in Florida. So I do hope that you will consider always trying to get your sunshine the natural way. If you do have a vitamin D deficiency because you live up north and you don't get a lot of sunshine, there are some supplements that you can take. Although I'm really not a fan of taking supplements, but there is also something called red light therapy. And there's also light therapy for seasonal affective disorder, which might be better than supplements because you never know what's in a supplement, you know. So you know, I am monitoring when President Trump does come on, and nothing happening so far. You know, I should have been tipped off when I didn't see the White House on the live stream. Usually that means it's going to happen. Anyway, I love what these people are saying, and I do believe that we need to get back to healthiness as far as looking at food and different herbs and sunshine and exercise and even social, not distancing, but social communication. You know, even just having a pet. Did you know that every time you pet your dog, you are getting endorphins, and you're actually exchanging the endorphins with your dog too? There are so many things that make us healthy that have nothing to do with food or anything that you take internally. You can get your health from a lot of different places. And did you know that being happy is something that makes you healthy too? Which is why someone wants to know, how's exercise good for you? Oh, Jason, if I have to explain to you how exercise is good for you, then I'm really, really kind of worried that you're not going to understand. I don't know, you guys, I'm going to be 60 years old and I'm healthy and I don't take any drugs and I live in Florida and I walk fine, and I am grateful for my health, especially when I buried my husband 3 years ago because he got cancer and he was only 58 when he died. So I got to carry on his legacy, and I want you guys to be healthy. Yes, you're right, Spirit. Many people are too stupid for this chat. However, my video is backwards because I'm looking into the camera. And then when I turn it around and show you the screen when President Trump comes on, then you'll see it on the right side. Did you understand that? Hello, Nicaragua. And you're not wrong. Nicaragua says, I respect, or Osmar says, I respect your decision. Everyone has the right to respect others. Be it a good day. Good person. Yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh, Spirit. God had to be hidden. Yes, I love all the doctors on here, the keyboard doctors telling me that I don't look healthy. Okay. Okay. Do you know what an unhealthy person looks like? I don't know. Maybe it's you. I don't know. Oh my goodness. Bonsoir. But I gotta say, we do speak English here on the Beach Report. I do understand other languages though, and I speak fluent German. And I do love to see my German people come on. It's always nice. And Darlene, welcome to the Beach Report. I am loving your comments. You are awesome and you are right. Positive thinking raises your vibration. And the reason we only speak English on the Beach Report is so that everybody can understand each other. That's all. You know, especially you come in and you're writing in a different language like Farsi or Chinese. It's not fair the rest of us can't understand it. We just all want to understand everybody on the Beach Report because we want the Beach Report to be a place where we do talk to each other. Not at each other, not screaming at each other, not calling me names, not calling yourself names, mad about my hat, super triggered by the hat. But, you know, I wear the hat so that we can identify you quickly because you do get really super triggered. Thank you so much, AJ. I am devastated about my husband. And that's another thing about the Beach Report. I'm not on here looking for another husband, by the way. I'm still married, still wearing my wedding ring and always will because I had the best husband that I could ever have. And I'm not looking to replace him. And I don't think I could do any better. So I am just taking on life on my own now, and that's okay too. I have an angel watching out for me, in addition to my Father, God, who is King of the universe. So thank you for your sweet comments. I appreciate it. And when you say nasty things to me and you make fun of the way I look, guess what? I don't care. I don't care at all. And all your comments are going to go away anyway if the mods don't get you first. So I think it might actually be better for you if you don't say nasty things and put me down for the way I look, because it's not good for you. It hurts you. It doesn't hurt me because I don't care what you think at all. But you should care what you think. You should care how you present to the world. When you talk to people you don't even know and you go in a chat like this, I mean, are you getting something out of saying nasty things to me and putting me down? This is all I want to know. Thank you, staff. I just gotta wonder. Yeah, oy vey, that would be Mark. Hello, Marky Mark in the house. What did Darlene say? I'm loving you, Darlene. You are great. I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, older women don't care. You know what? There's an actual group called the We Do Not Care Anymore Club. And I am a definite member of that club. I do not care. Say whatever you want about me. I just don't care. You think I'm ugly? Cool. You think I'm beautiful? Yay. You know, whatever. It's just pretty funny. All right, you guys, let's see. President Trump's still not on. So I think we should go back to the autism roundtable. I think it's super interesting what they're saying. And you know what it does come down to? Thank you, Saved by Grace. It comes down to the fact that we need to get back to healthy living. And we need to stop letting these companies take over our lives and sell us things that are not good for us. We need to stop drinking and eating out of plastic. Try that. I actually, myself, I changed to everything. I know this is plastic, this part, but this is a metal straw. I drink my coffee out of a straw because it keeps your teeth whiter. I try. Anyway, and the stainless steel is what I've been drinking out of. I don't even trust ceramic anymore because who knows what chemicals are in there. But everyone in this country has been subjected to a lot of harsh chemicals and plastics, and it's tough to be alive these days. And I feel like everybody is in great danger from the food, the chemicals, everything. And I think it was Holly who mentioned, and she knows I'm a huge proponent of fasting. When you fast, you do repair your body. In fact, 3 days, just 3-day water fast is all it takes to reset your gut microbiome. And that's pretty cool. Oh, right, Darlene, girl, you're a sister. You're a sister. You should join my members group. You guys should join my members group. Then you get rid of all of these trolls, and we are almost 30 strong. So I think that's a good number to start with. I've been building up my channel, and it's really nice to have people that you can just relax with, and you don't have to worry about these people coming on and saying stupid stuff. But again, don't really care. Who let the trolls loose? Who? Yeah, Marky, that's your job. I have to also shout out to my mods. You guys are great, and I thank you so much. It is very difficult to be a moderator on the Beach Report, or really any conservative channel these days, because the people who hate President Trump and hate Make America Great Again and hate Maha and just hate it all, you guys are some tough customers. And yeah, that's right, Sally. You show us who you are. And someone wants to know how old I am. I don't know that it matters, but I'm actually kind of proud about it. I'm gonna be 60 in November. It's my birthday. And here's a wonderful thing about me. I'm an author, and I just published okay, this is actually not the same cover that I have now, because I'm always working on it, but I did publish this book. I've been working on it for 40 years. And I'm so happy that I published it before I turned 60. Oh, LaDonna's ready. Girlfriend, I've been waiting for you to say that. Alrighty. She is going to be a moderator. If you want to be a moderator, I am taking all applications for moderators. Welcome LaDonna as a moderator. She's already a member, and actually, I think she was my first member, so I love her very much. Yeah, 60 is the new 30, or 30 is the new 60. I don't know how that works. My name's not Karen, by the way. But not that there's anything wrong with that. My best friend's name is Karen, and I love her very much. It's so funny how the left, you guys are always looking for a reason to put people down. Why do you do that? What do you get out of it? Anyway, am I a Trump supporter? Well, I am a Make America Great Again supporter, so yes, I guess I am a Trump supporter. What do you think? Oh, it's kind of funny. Do you know anyone named Karen Destiny? Boy, you people they're pretty funny. Yes, Marky Mark's gonna take you to the block party. Okay, let's go back to the Autism Roundtable. It's so interesting and so important. I hope to be a grandmother someday. My kids are, old enough to do that, and one of them's even married, so I'm waiting. But I am very concerned about the risk of autism, especially these days. It's way too prevalent. So we all have a stake in it. Even if we can't have babies ourselves, we might be looking at becoming grandparents. And I don't want my grandchildren to be autistic. Do you? That's a horrible sentence for a child and an entire family. And some autistic kids are really hard to deal with. So it's sad. I am going to turn you around and take you back to the MAHA Roundtable, Autism Roundtable.
Thank you so much, Drew. Nobody's allowed to sleep. We all have a lot of work to do. Okay, next, Dr. Fry, a Harvard-trained child neurologist with expertise in neurodevelopmental and neurometabolic disorders. He received an MD and PhD in physiology and biophysics from Georgetown University. Dr. Fry is a national leader in autism spectrum disorder research, particularly metabolic disorders, and has authored over 300 publications. Welcome, Dr. Fry.
This should be very interesting, you guys. Listen closely.
Yeah, thank you so
Love
much.
you, Marky.
I'm so honored to be up here to talk to such an incredible group. It's so great to see that we're making a turn for the better. I started on this journey about 20 years ago as an unassuming child neurologist. I had parents come to me. It's when autism was being more and more recognized, and the parents would say, well, my child just got diagnosed with autism. They don't know what to do about it. So you're a brain doctor. Maybe you could figure it out. And I took it as a challenge. I could look at EEGs and find some seizure disorders. Then I discovered that some of these children had signs of mitochondrial disorders, something that I had been interested in before, so I knew how to diagnose that. And then I stumbled upon cerebral folate deficiency. And the incredible thing is, as you go one by one and you start adding this up, everybody would tell me, oh, that's just one case. That's just one case there. That's just one case. Well, even if it is, it adds up to real kiddos, and that you can really make a difference with. I was in academia most of the time, and my really career grew because I knew something about autism. So to every academic center I went to, they said, wow, you know something about these kids? I'll give you all mine, because I got a clinic full of them. I don't know what to do with them. We were lucky to actually follow the path of actually measuring these biological functions of their body, finding that there's mitochondrial issues, folate issues, and being able to figure out how to treat them. And of course, some of the work that worked out so well was this treatment with leucovorin, which has now finally been recognized, by the president and by the administration, which I think is absolutely great. I've been trying to do this for 20 years, and people have been resistant because they would say, well, it's kind of crazy to think a vitamin can really cure autism, don't you think? And everywhere I went, I had resistance, upwinds to really going uphill to try and show this. But, we were able to do, several well-done clinical studies, which were repeated by other, researchers around the world to show that, it's not just this treatment, but I think the important thing is it shows that autism can be treated. That it's not just a disease that you have to do nothing about and just some therapy. That some of these therapies, that whether you believe them or not, they actually do work. It's this narrative that I think it's not that people don't want to believe things, is that they don't look deep enough. There's so many people that make the assumption, one, autism is genetic, because it's highly heritable, and you can't fix genetic diseases. And both of those are incorrect. I like to ask my pediatric colleagues when they watch my genetic colleague give a presentation if they've drank in the Kool-Aid. Because the geneticist starts out by saying, we know that autism is genetic because it's highly heritable. And at the end, they say, we found this gene by whole exome sequencing, and we know it's the gene because it's de novo, it's not inherited. So if you can drink that Kool-Aid, I don't know how they can rationalize it in their minds. But it is a strange phenomenon. I do a lot of work on genetics because it's important. And I had a recent presentation at MAPS with my colleague, Dr. Bowles, on a paper we wrote, and he went up there and he said, and he's a neurogeneticist, he said, I'm going to tell you, all of autism is genetic. It's just all de novo genetic. So I had to do part of it. So I went up there and I said, I just want to clarify, Dr. Bowles' statements that autism is all genetic, but it's all environmental, because those de novo mutations have to come from somewhere. And I think this is a kind of new concept, and we don't have the framework, and a lot of, the old guard just don't have the framework to understand this. And then we know that, as we learn more and more about genetics, like Dr. Bowles, my colleague, I love him because he's a geneticist, but he says, well, let's figure out what the gene does, where it's broken, and how we can fix that pathway. So it's treatable. We can figure out how to treat it. This is something that we can do. I've been trying to, spread the word for a long time. I'm just glad that, more people are understanding this, and I think we're making a turn here. We've developed the Autism Discovery and Treatment Foundation when I left academia to try and figure out some of these issues. Along with John and others, we've developed the Autism Discovery Coalition, which is a group of scientists that believe in this new way of looking at autism and moving towards treatment and solutions. And we have a little pamphlet that talks about our 6 programs we've picked that are things that are just ready to go and with a little bit of effort and money, could be supercharged to help kids with autism. And one of them is leukaphorin, which I guess the administration has taken off our plate. But there's other things like this, and we really have to promote these things that aren't too hard to do and are very effective, like spell to communicate and such, that can really advance our kids. So thank you, everybody, for coming and your efforts and your excitement about it.
Hey, Fred.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fry. Our last speaker for the Newsmakers Hour is Brian Hooker, Chief Scientific Officer at Children's Health Defense. Brian Hooker, PhD, is Chief Scientific Officer at CHD, an organization committed to the best health for children in the United States and worldwide. He's also Emeritus Professor of Biology at Simpson University in Redding, California, where he specialized in microbiology and biotechnology. The breadth of Hooker's over 80 science and engineering papers have been published internationally recognized peer-reviewed journals, and his most recent publications focus on the epidemiology of vaccine adverse events. Welcome.
Okay, well, I think we're going to have to not at this point because we've got, wait a minute. So I believe President Trump is on now. So let me just find him for you. Yeah, President Trump is live right now. And I am going to take you to the White House feed. That's my favorite one. Okay. And I'll take you to the very beginning so you don't miss a thing. Okay, here we go.
Really good talks today on Gaza with both the Middle East representatives and kings and all of the top leaders in the Middle East. And we had also a very good conversation with Bibi Netanyahu, trying to get the hostages back, and we're trying to get the end of the Gaza situation. It's really bad, very bad. And we think it could happen. Maybe it could happen pretty soon. We want the hostages back. We want the bodies back. And we want to have peace in that region. So we had some very good talks. As you know, I had President Erdogan here, Turkey, and we had a great meeting today. I think we had a meeting that was very conclusive in so many different things that we wanted, things that he wanted, and that was good. We'll be announcing that sometime later. And he'll be making an announcement too, but we had a great meeting with Turkey and their very respected president and spent time. We had lunch and we had a lot of good discussions. So those two things. And we have some executive orders today to sign that are very important for the country. And we'll start off with one that's a proclamation. And yes, sir. Want to do that, Will?
Yes, sir. So today is Gold Star Mothers and Families Day. This is an annual proclamation. This is to commemorate the fallen, those who have died for all of our freedoms and for our country, and for their families who have suffered such grievous losses. But this is a proclamation commemorating Gold Star Mothers and Gold Star families.
Yeah, and they're great people. Incredible people, what they've had to go through. Very few people could have gone through this kind of thing. Gold Star. Okay, thank you very much. He'll put it over here, Steve.
Next, sir, we have an executive order on TikTok. From the first days of your administration, you've charged a team from your administration led by Vice President Vance with ensuring that we can preserve TikTok as a platform for the 170 million Americans who use it, while ensuring that their data is properly protected as required by law. With this executive order, you will be effectively bringing into effect the agreement that will save TikTok and ensure that it can operate safely and securely.
So this is interesting because I had a very good talk with President Xi, a lot of respect for him. Hopefully he has a lot of respect for me too. And we talked about TikTok and other things, but we talked about TikTok, and he gave us the go-ahead. You know, it's run by American investors and American companies, great ones, great investors, the biggest. You don't get bigger, I don't imagine. And maybe I'll have JD. JD was very much involved and in charge of it. And maybe I'll have you say a few words about the deal. He would report back, and the points of the deal, I think, are great for our country. So, JD, do you want to give it a little talk, please?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So thank you, sir, for your leadership and for your help. We really couldn't have done this without the president actually ushering this deal over the finish line. There was some resistance on the Chinese side, but the fundamental thing we wanted to accomplish is that we wanted to keep TikTok operating, but we also wanted to make sure that we protected Americans' data privacy as required by law, both because it's the right thing to do, but also because it's a legal requirement of the law that was passed last year by Congress. So we think that we were able to do that. Of course, we're going to keep on working at it, but this deal really does mean that Americans can use TikTok, but actually use it with more confidence than they had in the past, because their data is going to be secure and it's not going to be propaganda weapon against our fellow citizens. We're very excited about it. We appreciate the cooperation of everybody involved, and it's a big day.
And I think I can say that especially the young people, they really wanted this to happen. They did not want to have TikTok close. And I got, a little used to TikTok. I used it myself during the campaign, and it was very successful because you know how I did with the young voter. And Charlie helped me a lot too. And he said to me, you should go on TikTok. And it actually had, because we got record votes with the young voter, as you know, for the election. So I was a little bit prejudiced in that way toward TikTok. It was very good and very meaningful. But we have American investors taking it over, running it, highly sophisticated, including Larry Ellison. And Oracle, I guess, is going to play a very big role in terms of security, safety, and everything else. So we have very good controls. And literally, I would get a call from friends of mine who were fathers of young people saying, could you do me a favor? Could you get it approved, please? My son is driving me crazy. So we're getting it done, and they have a big audience, and we have great American investors. And here's your final copy. TikTok. Maybe if you want, we could take a couple of questions on TikTok, and then we're going to get onto something completely different, okay? Yeah.
Mr. President,
Jeff?
Mr. Vice President, you mentioned that China was resistant. Can you describe where China is now? Are they fully on board with this? Or is there anything more?
I spoke with President Xi. We had a good talk. I told him what we were doing, and he said, go ahead with it.
On the algorithm, it's still being leased coming from China. Are you satisfied that there's no security concerns for the
I am. I really am.
It would push disruptive.
The biggest reason is that it's owned by Americans. It's and very sophisticated Americans and people that love the country, and very smart Americans too. So they don't want anything like that to happen. Yes, please.
Can you see me now? Okay, I think I'm back. Okay. Yeah. Not frozen anymore though, right? Not frozen anymore though, right? You see me? Okay, let's get back to President Trump. I stopped it right away. I don't know, I had some kind of an internet situation, but should be go out and come back in if you need to. Look good? All right.
And great respect for President Xi, and I very much appreciate that he approved the deal, because to get it done properly, we really needed the support of China and the approval of China. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, now that Americans will have operational control, do you want to see the algorithm suggest more MAGA-related content prioritized?
I always like MAGA-related. If I could, I'd make it 100% MAGA-related. It's actually a good question, but I would, if I could make it 100% MAGA, I would, but it's not going to work out that way, unfortunately. No, everyone's going to be treated fairly. Every group, every philosophy, every policy will be treated very fairly. Thank you.
Mr. President, did you know the valuation? You know the American company is going to be valued in billions?
Well, they valued it very highly. They're paying a big number. Do you want to talk, Scott? Do you want to say something about value?
Well, I'll let the Vice President, and then I can follow up.
And you'll say something.
Sure. Well, first of all, I would say all credit goes to the Secretary of the Treasury. Couldn't have got it done without Scott. Also couldn't have got it done without Sean Cooksey on my team, so thanks to them. The company will be valued around $14 billion. We actually think this is a good deal for investors, but ultimately the investors are going to make the determination about what they want to invest in and what they think is a proper value. The most important thing is that it does protect Americans' data security. It ensures TikTok is still accessible. And on this question of the algorithm, which we've heard this a lot, what this deal ensures is that the American entity and the American investors will actually control the algorithm. We don't want this used as a propaganda tool by any foreign government. We want to make sure that our people and our investors actually make these decisions based on what's good for their business as opposed to what's good for another government's propaganda arms. So that's what we've done with this deal. I think it's very good for the American people. And as the president said, young people love this. We actually want everybody to access this, whether they're MAGA or not. We just want it to be fair. We want it to be fair to everybody, and we think that's what's going to happen with this new arrangement.
Well, the U.S. government.
And just to follow up on the Vice President, there were two pieces to the transaction. The Vice President's office has worked since the spring for the commercial transaction between the investor groups, and then Treasury and a group including the Vice President's office were in Madrid 2 weeks ago to negotiate with the Chinese, and it was a result of President Trump's close relationship with Party Chair Xi that we were able to get this across the line. We created a framework for Party Chair Xi to agree, and then on the leaders' call, Xi and President Trump discussed the final arrangement. So it was 1-2. And that was the final piece.
Will the U.S. government get any kind of annual payment as a result of this deal?
Taxes. It's going to make money, and we're going to get a lot of money in taxes. And you know, China wanted to see this go. This is a great legacy for China too. I thought President Xi was great in terms of his approval. We probably could have done it a different way, but it wouldn't have been the same. Wouldn't have been the same security at all, but I appreciated that he approved it.
So nothing aside from taxes, there's no part of the deal that is like a payment to the U.S. government?
Well, we're going to be announcing different things, but the U.S. comes out great. And I think China comes out great because they're going to have a very important legacy. And they have many other deals. You know, they have deals with us, and they have deals in here in this country. And, you know, they want to be treated fairly also.
So, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President, the U.S. company could change the algorithm to push different content? Is that...
The U.S. company will have control over how the algorithm pushes content to users, and that was a very important part of it. We thought it was necessary for the national security element of the law. We also just think it's important to protect American users. Again, we want users to use this platform the way they want to. We want the business to make decisions about content based on the interests of the business and based on the interests of the users, and that's what we think will happen with this new arrangement.
And they're paying a lot of money, and I think hopefully it's going to be a great deal. They're very sophisticated people. You'll see a list. Have you seen a list yet of the people? Well, you've been reading about it. I know Michael Dell's involved, and Rupert Murdoch's involved, and a lot of, and let's see, we have probably 4 or 5 absolutely world-class.
Looks like Space Force.
Investors that love the country, and they made a lot of money with the country, and many of them are in a somewhat related business that works out pretty well, and they're going to be very careful about all of these questions that you've been asking.
Who else beyond Dell and Murdoch?
Well, it's a blue chip group of investors, and we'll be announcing more about who exactly is involved in the deal in the days to come.
Oracle's playing a very big part.
That's right, sir.
And Oracle really understands this, and I think they're actually, and they've been involved for quite a while running it for the people, the previous people, and so it's really, I think it's going to be very well protected. Very, very prestigious deal, actually.
On that point, Mr. President, as the President said, Oracle has actually had a role in housing the data for a long time, even when the entity was controlled by the ByteDance organization in China. So Oracle had a pretty interesting perspective on what was necessary to actually create true data privacy protections for Americans. They were a very important part of it.
Mr. President, you told us a couple of weeks ago you thought that the security concerns were overrated, but were there legitimate concerns when it comes to safety?
From my standpoint, no, because the people that own it are, you know, they're not China-centric, they're USA-centric, and they're very smart people. I guess you could say it about everything. Everything is, what's secure nowadays? Things that you think are totally secure turn out to not to be, but I think in this case, it's going to be as secure as you can be because of the ownership and the people. And they have a big investment, you know, it's to their advantage to make sure it's good and safe. Yeah. Anybody else? Do you have a question? No, behind you?
Well, I just want to say, do you think this move and getting this deal done, Mr. President, do you think this honors the legacy of Charlie Kirk he specifically pushed you to get involved with TikTok in the campaign, helped you win young voters. Do you think this deal honors him?
Well, I think it's a good thing. It's a good sign. We're doing very well, as you know, with the trade deals. We're doing very well with China, and a lot of them. We were never treated properly. We were for 4 years, actually, but we were never treated very properly by other countries, and we're doing well. We've never done this well. We have, because of the tariffs that are coming in, the deals that are being made, $950 billion in one case. $950 billion, where previously they paid nothing. We have, as you know, in Japan it's $550 billion. South Korea's $350 billion. That's up front. And one of the things I can say, I announced it lightly before, but we're taking in tremendous amounts of money with tariffs. We've never seen anything like it. No country's ever seen anything like it. I'm going to devote a little bit of that money, a little bit of the tariff money to our farmers. Our farmers have been incredible. They're the ones that let us survive and eat and enjoy our lives, right? Eat too much, maybe in some cases, like mine. But I will tell you, we're going to take some of the tariff money, relatively small amount, but a lot for the farmers. And we're going to help the farmers out a little bit, because during this transition period, a period where we're taking in incredible amounts of money, we'll have a little bit of a shortfall with the farmers until the tariffs kick in, because they haven't kicked in for the farmers yet. And I decided before, and I spoke to all of the people here, that I want to make a contribution out of the tariff money, a small percentage of it, but it's a lot for the farmers. It'll make the farmers feel very good, just help them through the transition. And ultimately, they're going to be making a fortune. They will be one of the top in the whole world in terms of percentage gotten from the tariffs we're taking in. But we have so much coming in, it's a very small thing. But I want to, in fact, just get the word out to the farmer, because they'll be struggling until the transition is complete. Then after that, they're going to do, I think, better than they've ever done before. Last time I said, get yourself a larger tractor and more land. And that was when they were doing very poorly, and they ended up doing that, and they did very well. That was with the deal we made with China. Unfortunately, Biden forgot about the deal, and he never enforced. I enforced it till the end, and China was very honorable. But when Biden came in, he didn't enforce it. So when you don't enforce a deal, they don't do it. So it was terrible. Biden was very bad to the farmers of our country. So we're going to be doing that. It's an honor to do it, too. Brian, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, what's your message to the millions of small businesses here in the U.S. that really rely on TikTok to reach their end user and to market their service and their product?
Well, thank you for that question, because honestly, we were getting hit up. They use it for virtual advertising, and they pay very little for it and nothing for it. And small businesses have become very successful because of TikTok. And we didn't think of that, when everyone's saying, oh, TikTok and this and that. But over the last 6 months, I was called by so many people saying they're going to go out of business if they can, because they use it virtually as a advertising tool. And without it, they wouldn't have anything. They wouldn't be able to get the word out about their good product or whatever it is they're selling. So it's a very important thing for small business. It's another reason I wanted to do the deal so badly. So let's go to another subject now, if we might, okay? And Will, please. Yes, go ahead.
What does that look like? Is that going to be direct checks to farmers, or is it going to be?
Well, we haven't decided that. We'll be dealing with Brooke later, and the Secretary of Agriculture, and we'll figure out how to get money to the farmers. And again, this comes out of the large amount, hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money that's pouring into the country. The tariffs, remember when I said a long time ago, I said it's the greatest word, it's my favorite word in the world. Then I had to say, I was forced to say other things, and of course, rightfully so. Love, family, religion. So I think I put tariff number 5. I was forced because the fake news did a big number on me. It's one of those little, but let's say it's my 5th favorite word tariff. But it's making our country very rich. And when our country is rich, I'm able to help the farmers, and I'm able to help even other countries that are in trouble, But we're able to help people that are in trouble. Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, it's all a benefit of this tremendous amount. And I heard numbers coming in today, Scott, where the numbers were very high, right?
The economic numbers were off the charts, sir.
Unfortunately, right? Because this is the only country in the world where you announce great numbers and the stock market goes down. Because when you announce great numbers, they immediately want to take that success away by raising the interest rates. Why can't you announce great numbers and let them lower the interest rate so you can make numbers? This is the only country in the world. I don't know if you heard. Could you just tell them what the number was? And how
It is 3.88% growth, the biggest in years. And the important thing, as the president says, this is going to be non-inflationary growth, just like it was in his first term. So strong growth, low inflation, real wage gains. And to the question on small business optimism under President Trump last week hit a multi-year high. So small businesses, Main Street is back under President Trump.
But isn't it crazy? So I saw the market was down a little bit today. I mean, in all fairness, I don't feel guilty because we've set every record you can imagine. But it was down, and I say, oh, the numbers must be good. Meaning the growth numbers are phenomenal. And again, this is during, but a little bit of the heavy, the really success and the money pouring into our country through the tariffs. And I just say, why can't we have great numbers and lower the interest rates so we have even greater numbers? So people were saying, oh, the numbers are so good, they're going to have to raise interest rates. That doesn't have to happen. And there's no inflation. We have the only thing we have is great success. We're having unbelievable success. So the numbers are much higher than anticipated, except for by me and Scott and some of the other people. And they'll get a lot higher than that, too. But I don't want to, every time we have good numbers, say, let's take all the juice out by raising interest rates. It's so backwards. It's so backwards.
Well, Mr. President, they don't appreciate the importance of the third leg of your stool, because trade, taxes, and deregulation allows for significant upside growth without inflation. So eventually the people at the Fed will be able to focus on this like Alan Greenspan did in the 90s. You can have strong growth and low inflation, and I think we can get the stock market up, Wall Street, Main Street, both doing well.
And we want low interest rates. There's no reason that every time we announce these record numbers, these numbers are way above projections by the great geniuses out there. I knew this was going to happen. So it's 71 different people, only two got it right. Me and another gentleman from, I think, my wonderful Wharton School of Finance, actually. So anyway, but I really want you to look at that. Every time we have good numbers, they say this is a good time because they're guarding against inflation that may happen in 2 years from now. We have to change our thinking. We should be rewarded for good numbers, not penalized.
So, Mr. President, is that 3.8? Is that the start of a 3% growth for the entire year?
The number was projected at 2, because we're in a little bit of a transition period, but that transition period's ending faster than we thought on tariffs. The money coming in is much greater than people thought, and there's no inflation. Essentially, there's no inflation. We just went through the worst inflation in our country under.
All right, I apparently have to change my microphone up so we can talk a little bit about what President Trump is explaining to us. And from looking at the comments, sounds like a lot of people just can't understand a word that he says. It's because you're full of hate. If you actually listen to him, and it really makes me laugh, the people who say he doesn't know anything about economics. Seriously, he's a businessman.
Bluetooth connected.
He is not a typical politician who doesn't have any kind of skills in the real world. He has the skills. He knows what he's doing. And I am super excited about the future because President Trump is in office. All right, let's get back to it and hope my speakers work a little better this time.
And the inflation was really bad. Worst ever. They say 48 years, I'll
Take
take
it
that
back.
too, but penalized.
So, Mr. President, is that 3.8, is that the start of a 3% growth for the
Well,
entire year?
you know the number was projected at 2, because we're in a little bit of a transition period, but that transition period's ending faster than we thought on tariffs. The money coming in is much greater than people thought, and there's no inflation, essentially. There's no inflation. We just went through the worst inflation in the history of our country under sleepy Joe Biden. He was sleeping, and the inflation was really bad, worst ever. They say 48 years, I'll take that too, but I think it was probably the worst inflation we ever had because of spending and energy going through the roof and everything else. By the way, energy's way down. And you're going to really be impressed when you hear what happened today with President Erdogan of Turkey. I think it's great for both countries. I think it's great. We have great relationships with a lot of countries. And you may be even more happy when you find out, because we spoke with Bibi Netanyahu today, and we spoke to all the leaders in the Middle East, who are great people, and we're getting pretty close to having a deal on Gaza, and maybe even peace, which would be the first time in about, 2,000 years, I think. In the region, I'd say the first in, Steve, what would you say, first in 2,000 years, or maybe 1,000?
2 millennium.
It's a long time. Yeah, go ahead.
Did everyone agree to stop buying Russian oil?
I don't want to say that, but if I want him to, he will. Yeah.
But he didn't think that.
Well, I didn't say, okay, you stop, but I believe you. I believe he will stop it, yeah. You know why? Because he can buy from a lot of other people. He can buy from a lot of other people. You know who really can't is Hungary. Hungary's got, they're landlocked, and they don't have a nice ocean where ships can sail in from all over the world. They have one pipeline coming, because I spoke with, he's a great guy, he's a great friend of mine, but, that's a harder word for that. And Slovakia, too. They're sort of married to one pipeline. So I just don't want to have people go blaming them when, we spoke to them at length today, and it seems like that, for them it's a little, but that's Turkey has a lot of options. He's a great president, a very smart man, and he's going to take, he's going to do what's right. But we had a very good conversation having to do with the purchase of military equipment, etc. Any other questions?
Did you make a deal on F-35s, Mr. President?
I will be able to easily if I want to. So we may do that, yeah.
But not yet.
Well, it depends. He's going to do something for us, yeah. Please.
The U.S. can have sanctions on Turkey?
Can I ask you, we're a few days away.
By the way, here we go with this guy. Go ahead, let's go. Let's hear the question.
We're a few days away from the end of the fiscal year and potential shutdown.
Right.
There's going to be a government shutdown?
Could be, yeah, because the Democrats are crazed. They don't know what they're doing. They want to have the border opened up so that criminals can pour in. We're doing unbelievable borders closed, and people are coming into our country legally. They continue to want to have men and women sports. They continue to want to have transgender for everyone. They want to raise everybody's taxes at a number that's not sustainable. It's the only time in the world I've ever seen a party that wants to raise taxes. I grew up in a family where I'd watch politics, and I always liked it from the time I was very young, but I'd always see politicians say, we will lower your taxes. These guys, they campaign on raising your taxes, but they want to raise taxes very substantially.
The one thing they're concerned about, look, Republicans have total control of Washington. You guys have control of the House, the Senate, there's you.
Well, when you say control, so we need 60 votes for this, and we have 53 Republicans, so we need 7 Democrats.
And those 7 Democrats and others are asking for an extension of a tax credit on people who get the Affordable Care Act and some other government-backed health care. So, are you willing to...
Well, what they're really asking for is they want to pay for illegal aliens that have come into our country by the millions and get onto the rolls, and they want to pay. And our people don't want to do that. Our people are taxed enough. We just approved the largest tax decrease ever in the history of our country, including the extension of the previous Trump tax cuts. The tax cuts that we just approved, they want to use those tax cuts to give the money to illegal aliens, people that came into our country illegally and that are leaving the country. So there's been a self-deportation because of what we've been doing that's been incredible. Okay, yeah, please.
Secretary Nixon is inviting military leaders from all around the country on Tuesday. Will you also be there?
from all around the country to what?
To Virginia.
He's inviting the generals and admirals to Virginia for a big meeting.
Well, I know, I love it. I mean, I think it's great. Let them be friendly. Let them be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world. Why, is there something? No, but is there something wrong with it?
What is it about? Will you be there personally as well? And what is it about?
Well, I'll be there if they want me, but why is that such a big deal? I mean, the fact that we're getting along with the generals and admirals from all, remember, I'm the president of peace. It's good to get along. It's good. You act like this is a bad thing. Isn't it nice that people are coming from all over the world to be with us?
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
Is it a big story? I mean,
I don't think it is, sir.
I would think it's, no, but isn't it a good story? I mean, we're respected from all over the world as a military force. I rebuilt the military during my first term, and even though we gave a chunk of it away to Afghanistan. But we're talking Afghanistan too, by the way, about Bagram and about that. But that's a very small amount compared to what we rebuilt it by. But I rebuilt the military, and we're very respected. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world without question. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We're selling the equipment to other countries. And a lot of generals want to be here, and they want to look at they're also going to be touring equipment sites. They're going to be talking about the newest weapons, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's great when generals and top people want to come to the United States to be with our now called Secretary of War. Does everybody like the name? I do.
You said something really interesting this week about Ukraine, that you thought Ukraine could get back all the territory that Russia had.
Yeah, they have a shot at it, because Russia...
What prompted you to change your thoughts on
Well, because I've been watching the way Russia's and what Russia's been doing. I'm very dissatisfied with what Russia's doing and what President Putin is doing. I haven't liked it at all. He's killing people for no reason whatsoever. And they are doing very poorly, considering they have put it all out on the line. Their economy is going to hell. They're bombing the hell out of everything, and they're picking up a very little territory, if any. In fact, they're losing some territory. So I think it's been very bad for the reputation of Russia. This war should have been over. If this were our war, we would have had it over in 1 week. And they're getting into fourth year, Jeff. They're getting into the fourth year now. 4 year fighting, and you see what they've taken. In the last month, they've taken very little, and you've been reporting on all the bombing, all the drones all over the place. 900 drones coming into certain areas like Kiev in one night. And with all of that work, they've taken over very little. So now I'm very disappointed in President Putin. I thought I solved 7 wars. In fact, we have a great leader coming. We have the Prime Minister of Pakistan coming, and the Field Marshal, Pakistan. Field Marshal is a very great guy, and so is the Prime Minister, both. And they're coming, and they may be in this room right now. I don't know, because we're late. And I said maybe they'd like to join them. They actually may be somewhere in the beautiful Oval Office. Yeah, please, behind you. I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen. Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay? Yes, please. Jasmine Crockett. Remember when I said, is she a relation to the late, great Davy Crockett? I don't think so. Jasmine Crockett, let me tell you, before you even ask, she's a very low IQ person. I mean, if we ever had to pass an aptitude test, that's the one should take one, because she shouldn't even be in the group. So I have no idea what you're going to, but I don't think we should waste our time. This is a low IQ person who I can't even believe is a congressperson. Between her and Ilman Omar, and I met the head of Somalia. Did you know that? And I suggested that maybe he'd like to take her back, and he didn't want her. He said, "I don't want her." Okay, what else? Go ahead. Let's hear what Crockett said. Go ahead.
ICE raids to slave patrol. I want to ask you.
To slave?
To slave patrol. I want to ask you if you think that there should be consequences for members of Congress who make these types of comparisons.
Yeah, well, I think she's gone over the line, and I think a lot of the people, look, the Democrats have become radical left lunatics. They have policies that nobody's going to buy. And, I see what's going on in New York. We're going to have perhaps a communist mayor because it's split up. The people would get together and have one candidate that have, I think, a pretty good chance. But it looks like maybe they're not going to do that. But we're going to end up with a communist mayor. It's not even believable, my beautiful New York. When I left New York to become president, it was a great place. But it was the beginning of bad things because we had de Blasio had just started as mayor, and I said, this guy's this guy's a real nut job. Went to Harvard to teach management. Can you believe it? He went to Harvard to teach city management along with the mayor of Chicago, who went to Harvard to teach. The two of them are teaching how to manage a city manage it into hell is what they did. But that was the beginning, and now we're going to go a step further. Now we're going with the communists. Can I be honest? I think it's the greatest thing to ever happen to the Republican Party. I really do. I think if a communist, I think that's a gift to the Republican Party. It's sad for New York, but it's a gift. And New York will recover because sometimes you need a shock like that to straighten you out. But it's politically, it's probably a very good thing. That's a lot of.
You have a number of cities that are pushing back against your immigration deportation as well as the farm initiative. Some of those cities,
I don't think they're very much pushing
some of those
this.
cities have Seattle, San Francisco.
They're going to be very secure.
Secure, but could those be moved if they don't cooperate?
Well, that's an interesting, I guess, but we're going to make sure they're safe. They're run by radical left lunatics and that don't know what they're doing. Look at Washington, D.C. I just got numbers. There's like no crime in Washington, D.C. You, Jeff, will not be mugged walking down the street. You can walk down the street with your family. You can walk down your street with your wife, your daughter, your son, and you're not going to be. We took out 1,700 career criminals that we're not allowing back. And we have this city in great shape. There was a time when not long ago, when every single week you'd have at least one murder. And look what's happening with Washington. It's safe. I went to dinner in Washington just to prove a point. I gave a press conference in the middle of a street. I wouldn't say Secret Service was thrilled, but I did it, and here I am. Look, Washington, D.C. is such a great example of what can be done. We did it in 12 days. We made it very safe in 12 days, and now it's much safer than that. One other thing, I drove around Washington over the weekend, and I said, look at the difference. The grass looked great. Everything looked great. We had a lot of our National Guard, and we didn't ask them to do it. They did it themselves. They're proud. They're great. And they were picking up paper. They were cleaning. The place looked really beautiful. So we have a great Washington, D.C. We, as you probably know, we're going into Memphis, and we're going into some other cities, and very soon we're going to go into Chicago. It will be safe for the World Cup. If I think it isn't safe, we'll move it into a different city. Absolutely, we'll take the world. If I think it's not, it's actually a very fair question. If I think it's not safe, we're going to move it out of that city. If, like the governor of Illinois, who is, look, last week and the week before, 11 murders, and 38 people were shot. Then he gets up and says, this is a very safe. And then he says crime is better. The reason crime is better is because Cash put, about 5 months ago, a whole team of FBI people there to get ready for when we go in, and they've lowered it a little bit, like 20, 25%, which isn't good enough, but it's a good start. But that was only put there because they're preparing for us to go in. And they've done, by the way, they've done a good job. So then Pritzker gets up, we've lowered crime 25, it's because the FBI was there. So, no, if any city we think is going to be even a little bit dangerous for the World Cup, or for the Olympics, where they have Olympic overthrow, right? But for the World Cup in particular, because they're playing in so many cities, we won't allow it to go to, we'll move it around a little bit. But I hope that's not going to happen, yeah.
Record held this morning indicated that the shooter in Dallas was using an app to track fights. Does your administration have any plans to take down those apps or make them removed?
Well, I can't tell you about that, but it tells you when they want to wear masks or they want to hide a little bit. why that's so important. But these are great patriots, the ICE, and what a tough job they have. What an unbelievably tough job they have. And think of it, what are they doing? They're taking hardcore criminals out of our country and putting them back. These were largely criminals that were given to us by Joe Biden and his group of radical maniacs that surrounded this desk, just like these people surround the desk now, but they're not maniacs, they're very solid people.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad I prefaced. But they're great. We have a great cabinet, we have great people, and he didn't have great people. He had terrible people. Look at Afghanistan, look at the people he had running our military. That could happen. The most embarrassing day in the history of our country was Afghanistan. And 13 young people died. They don't ever talk about the 38 that were horribly wounded with legs and arms and everything else, really horribly wounded. So the country's respected like it's probably almost never been respected before. I think we're respected at a level, and a year ago it was a dead country. We had a dead country a year ago. This country was dying. It was really in bad shape. Let's talk about the next subject, shall we?
One of the most administration has taken bold, decisive steps to ensure that Washington, D.C. is once again a safe and secure city for its residents and all who visit. This is a presidential memorandum that directs your Attorney General and your U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Judge Janine Pirro, to fully implement the death penalty here in Washington, D.C., where the evidence and facts of the case indicate that the death penalty should be used.
Okay? Everybody understand? Death penalty in Washington. You kill somebody, or if you kill a police officer, law enforcement officer, death penalty. And hopefully there won't be that. So again, it's way down. We have had week after week after week where we haven't had a murder. I said that the other day in front of the President of Poland. The press was here, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce that Washington, D.C. has not had a death in 4 weeks, a murder. And he looked at me and goes, is that good or bad? You know, he said, what kind of a place is this? But it's true for years. I mean, every week, essentially, somebody got killed, or more than one. And this is a very safe city right now. We don't play games. And, you know, it's interesting. We took these careers out, career criminals. They call them careers. They left the word criminal out, but we took the careers out of here. And they're now brought back to their homes, or they're in jail, or they're in a jail in another country, and hopefully they're not coming back. And we have to maintain it. You can't just leave. We have to maintain it. And we've gotten along fairly well with the mayor. You know, she's getting a party that hates that the city's becoming safe. I mean, they're actually criticizing her because the city's becoming safe. But this is becoming this is right now a very, very safe city. This went from the most unsafe city in the country to the safest city in the country. There's no city any safer. That's a pretty big achievement. And we really did it in 12 days. But if you add an extra week to it, that'd be nice. And I mean, you can go out to dinner. Restaurants are booming. You know, the restaurants were dead. They were dead. Even if you got to the restaurant, then somebody would come in and hold you up. You know, they'd hold up the whole restaurant. They go to young ladies in the White House. They run to the car because they were petrified to be from the entrance of their to the car. Now they feel safe. They're in the car, and then the car gets hijacked while they're in the back of the car. This is what we were living in. We were living in hell. People that work in the White House, every time they see me, young women in particular, say, thank you, sir. And I don't even ask them about what. I know exactly. I made their lives. Now they're living in a beautiful, glamorous place called Washington, D.C. with no crime, and that's the way it should be. Okay? This is the death penalty for somebody that kills people in Washington, D.C. I think it's capital. It's a very interesting capital punishment, capital city. It's capital, capital, capital. But this is our capital city. We can't allow that to happen. People come in from Iowa to look at the Lincoln Memorial and they end up getting killed. It doesn't happen anymore. It's not going to happen. And if it does happen, it's the death penalty for the person that did it. And this goes into effect, right? Pam, is that right? Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. Not only are we seeking it in Washington, D.C., but all over the country again. And as you saw very recently, we are now moving
the inmates who were on death row, who Joe Biden or the auto pen commuted their sentences off of death row, we're moving them to supermax facilities, where they will be treated like they're on death row for the rest of their lives, President Trump.
Okay, it's a big statement. Thank you very much. Okay. I see some of you shaking your heads very positive. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, fellas. It said it. Yeah. That's right. And most people really like it. And Washington, again, it's going to serve as a beacon because you have to do it. These are bad people. When you look at that the guy that killed the young lady in the train in North Carolina, that he'll be in trial for years. I get a good lawyer somewhere along the line. Somebody will come along, and what he did to that young lady, and she went into that train scared. You know, when she went in, the way she sat down, she was scared to just be there. She just wanted to not pay any attention to anybody, just not be noticed. And she had her throat slit. We don't want that in this country anymore. We're not going to have it in this country anymore. Thank you very much. Next.
Lastly, sir, this is a presidential memorandum on countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. In recent weeks, months, and years, we've seen a tremendous upsurge in some highly visible, but also other acts of domestic terrorism and organized political violence being perpetrated by radical, politically motivated groups all over the country. What this presidential memorandum will do is set off an administration-wide response to that, ranging from the Joint Terrorism Task Forces to other components of the Department of Justice, to the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Treasury. We're looking at interdicting these groups, preventing them from performing acts of violence, and also looking at sources of organization and funding and support that prop them up and allow them to do the acts that they have been doing.
We're looking at the funders of a lot of these groups. And, you know, when you see the signs, and they're all beautiful signs made professionally, these aren't your protesters that make the sign in their basement late in the evening because they really believe it. These are anarchists and agitators, professional anarchists and agitators, and they get hired by wealthy people, some of whom I know, I guess, you know, probably know. And you wouldn't know it. You're at dinner with them, everything's nice, and then you find out that they funded millions of dollars to these lunatics. Steve, could you say a couple of words?
Yes, this is a very historic and significant day. This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, to dismantle Antifa, to dismantle the organizations that have been carrying out these acts of political violence and terrorism. What we have seen, if you look at whether it be going back to the riots that started with Black Lives Matter and all the way through to the Antifa riots, the attacks on ICE officers, the doxing campaigns, and now the political assassinations, these are not lone, isolated events. This is part of an organized campaign of radical left terrorism. It is structured, it is sophisticated, it is well funded, it is well planned. There is really no parallel like this to anything else in the country right now. There is an entire system of feeder organizations that provide money, resources, weapons, and when they're attacking ICE officers, they're attacking federal buildings, or they're isolating public officials for harassment, doxing, intimidation, and ultimately attempted assassination. It is all carefully planned, executed, and thought through. It is terrorism on our soil. Because of this executive order, Cash and Pam are going to have the tools they need, working with Scott, to take these organizations apart piece by piece. And the central hub of that effort is going to be the Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF,
This is great.
which sits inside the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But for those at home who are worried about terrorism in this country, they need to understand, because of President Trump's strength, because of his vision, because of his leadership, we are now going to use the entire force of the federal government to uproot these organizations root and branch. And again, that's only possible because of President Trump and his leadership.
Thank you, Steve Cashman.
Oh my gosh. This is the best news ever. Finally, we're going to be protected from these radical left lunatics who hate our country and have been working so hard to take us out. This is wonderful news. Let's watch. I can't wait to see him sign it. Woohoo!
leadership, crime is going downward in a tremendous fashion, and that's what we want for every city in America. And the FBI's premier flagship enterprise, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, are honored to lead this initiative with our partners at Treasury and Homeland Security, because our citizens are being attacked by, as Stephen said, organized violence, and is being paid for, not by them, by other people. So what we are going to do, combining forces as Scott and I have done in these last few months, is follow the money. People and organizations have collected funds and put them out into the streets of America and organized violence across our country. And thanks to your recognition of this and this executive order and the AG's leadership to lead out and prosecute these individuals, we are properly going to chase them down like the domestic terrorists that they are.
Woo!
The streets and our communities will be safer because the JTTF and the FBI and Treasury and DHS and DOJ are going to combine forces like never before to root out this new evil that is perpetrating our criminal activities across our societies. And we are just so thankful for your leadership and recognition of it. It's not easy to do.
Good job. Thank you very much.
Who
Pam?
specifically you want to target?
What?
Besides Antifa, is there a specific group or person you're targeting in this?
Any organized group. Any organized group who are committing these crimes, and we're working with the Secretary of Treasury. You know what law enforcement has told us under President Trump's leadership? He's taken the handcuffs off law enforcement. They can do their jobs now, thanks to you, President Trump, and that's what's happening.
Finally.
And all of these agencies that Cash mentioned, we work hand in hand together. Our prosecutors were following the money with Treasury. We're working with Homeland Security. Cash's agents, all of our agents, DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, combined, are working and with state and local government to take these people off the streets who are jeopardizing lives.
Can I just illustrate this? So I was talking with Cash and Stephen about this a couple of days ago, sir. So I believe it was in Oregon where you had a federal building where there were men in black ski masks who were committing acts of violence, who were shutting down a government building. They don't come from nowhere. These are paid people. This is organized. They're committing acts of political terrorism on American soil. And it's time we had a government that looked out for the American people rather than the people who are committing violence against the American people.
When you go out to Portland and you see what's happening in Portland, this is like nobody's ever seen anything like it. Every night, and this has gone on for years. They just burn the place down, and you know the shop owners, most of them have left, but the few shops that are open, they just use plywood and just like 3/4-inch plywood. They don't put storefronts in because they know it's going to be burned down. These are professional agitators.
Right.
These are bad people, and they're paid a lot of money by rich people, some of whom we know. I'm sure I know some. I don't. If I knew, I wouldn't associate because I'll be in trouble. Because Pam will say, "Why are you associating with this person?" But I will tell you that these are bad people, and they're paying a lot of money, millions of dollars. But take a look at Portland sometime. These are these are crazy people. And they're trying to burn down buildings, including federal buildings. And on my list of things that I want to do before we finish up with the cities, because I think we're going to whip the cities back into shape, but we have to. We cannot let our cities, and that's a small example, but it's the most violent example. It's every night, and they've done it for years. You'd think maybe at some point they made their point, and what are they doing? But we're going to get out there, and we're going to do a pretty big number of those people in Portland that are doing that. They're professional agitators and anarchists. They're actually anarchists, yeah. Go ahead, why don't you defend? Let's see you defend them, Jeff.
No, I don't think anyone. I just want, so that we can just explain this in our stories.
You don't explain it right, though, Jeff. Go ahead, let's go. Maybe let's give you another chance. Go ahead.
Give him another chance.
What names are we talking about?
Well, Soros is a name certainly that I keep hearing. I don't know, but Soros is a name that I hear.
Yeah,
I hear a lot of
Soros.
different names. I hear names of some pretty rich people that are radical left people. Maybe I hear about a guy named Reid Hoffman. Somebody's a pretty rich guy, I guess, and I hear about him. I don't know. Maybe could be him. Could be a lot of people. We hear the same names, but they're bad, and we're going to find out. And if they are funding these things, they're going to have some problems because they're agitators and they're anarchists. These are anarchists. Really bad. Okay, yeah, please.
Mr. Dennis, can you, Mr. President, can you, are you,
Who you
Mr.
with?
President,
Who you with?
I'm with the Center Square, Sarah Robert Chris, my name. Sarah, there's also, as you know, Antifa is not just a domestic terror or now a domestic terror organization, it's also international. I know the Netherlands is looking at also designating them a terror organization.
Right.
Have you been working with your intel community and your DNI to
Yes,
An
we have.
international
Yeah,
terror
we have
organization.
it. Yep. It's an international, in many cases, it is international.
Mr.
Yeah.
President, if someone takes to the streets of America and says they're Antifa, what happens to them? What will happen?
Well, I'd say the maximum under the law, and we'll see. Now, if they kill somebody, we just signed a death penalty, so it depends where it is, but if they kill somebody, which they do, I mean, people are dying. You go out to Portland, people die out there. Many people have died over the years in Portland. Portland is, I don't know how anybody lives there. It's amazing. But it's anarchy out there. That's what they want. They want anarchy. Like when they attacked Seattle and took over a big percentage of the city. I was going to go out and we were going to do a big number. They heard that and everybody broke up all of a sudden. But you know, you have governors that have to run that, and a lot of them don't do that. I don't like to go in. I'd rather have Pritzker's support when we go into Chicago. But if we don't have it, that's okay too, because we're paramount, and we will do what we have to do. We're going to make Chicago safe. We're going to make we're going to make as many as we can, and usually that involves a surge. But what we did with, in the case of Chicago, by having the FBI go out there 5 or 6 months ago, we brought it down a little bit. You know, a little bit is 25%, so it's not so little, but it is when you're talking about the kind of crime and killings and murders that you hear in Chicago. But we're going to get it. Chicago's a great city. As the Union Pacific said, the head of the Union Pacific was a great guy. Started off as a low-rung guy. He said he started in a caboose, and now he's the chairman of the Union Pacific. But he's a great guy. But he said, "Sir, don't lose Chicago." The way he said it, I said, boy, it really hit me. You know, here's a man that knows all the cities. The Union Pacific, I guess, is our largest railroad, and he knows all the cities. He's been doing it for 45 years, and he said, "Sir, don't lose Chicago." And the way he said that meant a lot to me, and we're going to go into Chicago very soon. We're going to take care of Memphis. We're going to take care of Memphis. You can't walk a block without getting shot. We're going to take care of that one, and just like we did Washington, D.C., and we're going to do Chicago very soon. Yes.
There could be an indictment on James Comey. Do you know if there is an indictment or?
I don't know. I know it's going on because I read the papers just like you do, right? So I don't know. Do you have anything to say about that? Yeah.
Can you comment on a New York Times, Madam Attorney General, can you comment on a New York Times report saying that Justice Department officials have asked attorneys to target a George Soros-funded group? And is this executive order that you just signed a part of that effort? I'm not going to comment on whether there is or is not a pending investigation, but everything's on the table right now.
I don't think anybody has to ask, because if you look at Soros, he's at the top of every. In fact, sometimes I say, could he be involved in this many things? But he's in every story that I read.
That's right.
Stories that I read keep talking about Soros, and so you know, I guess he'd be a likely candidate. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, President.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you.
Wow. Big day in the White House, guys. The death penalty, going after terrorist organizations. And who did they keep bringing up? George Soros. I think that guy should be a little worried. He's been funding all of these organizations that actually have been going after conservatives for years. And I saw somebody say that he's Jewish. Well, I wouldn't consider him really Jewish. Did you know that during his time as a young man in Hungary during World War II, he was actually used, or let himself be used by the Nazis to collect the things that the Jewish people in his neighborhood or wherever he lived, he actually turned on his friends and family and neighbors and worked with the Nazis to take their stuff. You know why? He said, if I didn't do it, somebody else would. That's the kind of guy George Soros is. He's a disgusting piece of you-know-what. Anyway, he's been working very hard to ruin our country. One of the ways that he does it is he funds horrible district attorneys. Makes me think about Larry Krasner in Philadelphia. That guy, he loves criminals and he hates good people. It's a lot of bad stuff going on, that George Soros. So I'd really, really love to see him be held accountable for the crimes that he has committed against America, along with several other people. I understand that Comey is maybe going to come under fire. And how about Dr. Fauci? I'd love to see him have his feet held to the fire. What do you think? Exactly, David. What goes around comes around. Thank you, Mark. You guys are sweet. And I agree, Lisa, Soros needs to be charged. He's not the only one. Yeah, Supermax prison time, right, Derek? All right, you guys, super happy to see all you patriots on the Beach Report. Please, as usual, just ignore the trolls. Many of them are bought and paid for by George Soros. That's why they go so crazy. All right, you guys, I am going to see you on the next Beach Report. I'm working on a story right now about government overreach when it comes to school districts. There's a school district here in Pittsburgh called Seneca Valley School District that wants to raise taxes so that the local populace can fund a $165 million upgrade to their schools. $165 million. Let's talk about government overreach. That'll be on the next Beach Report. All right, you guys, I am going to say ciao for now and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, guys.